You
Okay.
want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Should we? Are we gonna say what our podcast is?
Sure.
Or like,
Yeah, we can do
okay. Well, this is our podcast. It's Web 4.0. The need for revolution. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Nick.
And we're gonna talk about like what is needed for like the internet, I guess, because like the internet's a shit place now.
Yeah, it's super toxic.
Yes, I agree. Well, I feel like, okay, let's start off with like the number one thing that like I feel like we usually start off with is like the number one is like privacy.
Yeah.
We have a big issue with privacy. I feel like as the internet grows, less and less privacy is given, and as like technology grows as well, like you get me?
Yeah, I feel you.
And then like we you see these terms and agreements, you know what I mean? And like nobody reads those, you know what I mean? Nobody reads them, but like at the end of the day, are you gonna read through 50 pages so that you could post a picture on Instagram? And nobody's gonna do it. It's the fear of FOMO, but like FOMO is the fear of missing out. And like the problem is like that's when you sign away your like privacy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like when I have my house communicating to my car communicating to my phone communicating to like everything, and it's all hooked up to the internet, and everything's owned by this big company, there's no more privacy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because like now they know that I like to keep my house at 92 degrees, and I like to drive my car at 30 miles per hour. You know what I mean? And I just feel like one of the number one things that we need, for like this is what we need is privacy rules. Like they're not given. And like the thing is like, oh yeah, well you don't need to get on our app. You know what I mean? Or you don't need to use this. But at the end of the day, I can't go to class and not use the internet anymore. You know what I mean? We turn in everything through the internet. The internet is something that can no longer be denied, but it's also something that we can't live with now. You know what I mean? Because we have everything that's just like abolishing like our privacy like completely. What was the other things that we were talking about?
It was kind of like, you know, in this big, you know, like we have this big reliance on it, like no matter like whether it's business, personal life, or like anything else, all of the information that we get goes through this internet like filter.
There we go. Yes.
Especially like politically, like, you know, we can't go anywhere without seeing like some sort of political ad, especially going towards like a campaign. And that's like the biggest reason why Trump won his election, because there was so many ads on Facebook that were like just overrun by everything because he had the money to do it.
Yeah.
And he was spreading false information. But that's how he won, because everybody like, oh, I don't know any other candidate, I'll just vote for Trump because I saw him on an ad and it kind of applied to like American values.
Yes, I remember we were when we searched on the internet, we searched up Trump 2020 election, 2021 election.
It wasn't even that, it was just the 2020 election.
Yeah. And
wait, no, it was a
2016 election, and the first thing that came up was an ad saying vote for Trump. Like, we didn't even, the first thing that comes up on the internet now, it's not even information.
Yeah.
It's from an ad, it's from a big company. Like, you know what I mean? No, like, literally companies are just like ruling the internet. It's no longer a place to share like views anymore. It's like, how much ads can I shove down your throat before like, you know what I mean? I'm like, and it's the honest thing, like, I remember I was like on my phone and I was like, oh yeah, I totally want a hot dog. And then like a Wiener Schnitzel's ad came up like 2 seconds later, and I was like, so wait, how did you know that I wanted a hot dog? You get me?
And it wraps back around to those agreements that you like do in the bidding, because like they have like little parts in those agreements. It's like, hey, we're gonna use your microphone, we're gonna use your camera to get like better ad stuff, because that's like our main driver for money.
And then the thing is like, so we need restrictions on this, but at the end of the day, it's like, are they really gonna put a restriction on it if I'm paying your campaign? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like at the end of the day, we were discussing, remember, the only person that didn't need to take money from anybody was Trump.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, is he going to represent somebody like me or you?
No.
He makes $1 billion, you know what I mean? He's a billionaire. Like, dude's going to represent him to get more rich.
Yeah.
And it's like the cycle of that we need laws in place.
Yeah.
We need regulations.
Absolutely.
But there's no way to put in these regulations because...
I also think it's like the hard part is that, you know, of course we knew the internet is like something that's been a part of our lives like our entire time, but like it's actually just a fairly new thing.
It
And the
is.
fact that it's so new means that they don't know like what to do in like any case, and that's like we can't even think of like certain laws or implementations of like limits. Like it's just so vast and new.
Yeah, and I feel like also a big thing too is like, if you're a political candidate saying, well, I'm going to limit your internet, you know what I mean? Or I'm going to set regulations on your internet. But it's like, it's not setting regulations on like what you can see.
Yeah.
It's setting regulations so that you can see everything unbiasedly. And I agree with you, like what? Literally the internet came out, I'm 18 years ago. Like we were born with the internet. And like, there's not much that can like, if we can't even, like us as students, we're trying to decide what we should do, you know what I mean?
Right.
And we can't even come up with the laws ourselves, you know what I mean? And it's just like, we know something needs to be done, but it's like, what steps do you take to like get it done?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It becomes such like a difficult situation where it's like, it's like, which way do you approach it? Because I feel like there's so many wrong ways to approach it, you know what I mean? And especially how I feel like the government keeps the United States, like their citizens, naive, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And keeping them naive makes it easier for you to control somebody. Like, you know what I mean? If I don't teach you crap, then you don't have information on your side to like support yourself.
Yeah.
You get me? And like, I feel a big thing is they keep the citizens naive, and now we're so naive, we don't even know how to address something. And then if you address something in a wrong way, everybody's gonna be like, whoa, you said one word, you know what I mean? That like we didn't like. And it's just a difficult situation, like, and how to approach it.
Yeah.
Like I like how like the title is literally Need for Revolution, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like, how do you approach revolution?
Exactly.
You get me?
Yeah.
And I even feel like through like revolution wise, like approaching revolution isn't something, you know what I mean, that's like an easy aspect. Because like if I go up to some random person and I'm like, hey, let's change something, they're gonna be like, well, how? And I'm like, I don't know, that's why I'm asking you to be here.
Yeah, I don't know, because you think about a revolution and it's just like they haven't happened technically here in a very long time.
Yeah.
Like since like, you know, because you can even talk like the civil rights movement and like a lot of things, like they were reforms, but like revolution, because revolution causes like a really big change, and there still hasn't that big of a change, especially with civil rights with minorities or anything else. I don't know, to have like a revolution with the internet takes like, I think it just takes time, but we might not have that amount of time, and that's the scary part.
And the thing is like, you're right, we don't have enough time. So like, I feel like if you wanted to start a revolution, like the whole thing with like net neutrality and stuff, like, you know what I mean? And if you want to like start a revolution and like you want to like change stuff, it needs to be at such, like, it needs to happen like years ago.
Yeah.
I feel. Because I feel like at this point, like, we start the revolution, things don't get carried in what? It takes you years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we'll talk about like the American Revolution. Do you think people were just like, hey, we're going to secede from Britain? No, like that took years and years and years. And like, to say that we need change is like, of course we need this change, you know what I mean? But like, it's such like a difficult aspect to like, one, advertise for people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for people to grasp, and I don't feel like it's too difficult, I feel. I feel like I feel like the thing is, we need to take like the step forward to do it. I feel like a lot of people are like, we want change, but never do anything to move change, you know what I mean? And I think it's like in everyone's mindset, and I think it's because like, if you think about it, it goes back to the internet. We have everything at our fingertips, right?
Yeah.
We constantly see change happen like this. I don't like what I'm watching. Bam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have no, like, what is it called? Concentration? No. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you.
They're like, we just don't put enough time and effort into things. I feel like we should.
Yeah.
I feel like we say, well, I saw somebody do it on here, they can just change. You know what I mean? They'll lead the revolution and I'll be right behind them. You get me?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a big problem with us as a society that keeps expecting somebody to do it for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like we see this, and it's also like a disconnect, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I see, oh my God, the world's dying, you know what I mean? We're gonna run out of oxygen in 2050. You know what I mean? Something like that. You know what I mean? And I look at it and I'm like, okay, it's sad, but there's no how. You know what I mean? I know it's going to affect me 50 years from now. Like, you get me?
Yeah.
I feel like we just constantly, as a society, there's the disconnect from it, as well as we just keep pushing it away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, the internet's going to change, or oh, we're constantly being watched. You know what I mean? Like what? Go ahead.
This sort of numbness, I guess.
Yeah.
That comes with it. So like, in order for any sort of change to happen, we have to like really like take that numbness away from ourselves.
Yeah.
Really kind of.
Well, because like we figured out that the United States was watching us years ago, right? Like
true.
literally years ago, and then has the United States changed anything?
No.
Are we still being listened to? You know what I mean? It's like, even though everybody found this out, everybody's shocked, like, and everybody's like, holy shit, I'm being listened to 24/7. You know what I mean? I'm being recorded 24/7, but there's nothing done about it. Nobody says, hey, this is what you're doing is wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I remember we were discussing it, and it's like, this all leads back to privacy, like I was saying, but like we were discussing it with my teacher, and the reason that they can get into everything is because anything that crosses state lines is owned by the government. So that's why, so technically when they tax our water, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, the clouds cross the state lines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They, at a point, I don't even doubt it, they're going to like tax our air and it crosses the state lines. And what, is my phone just connected to internet just like right away? No, it's sent through like satellites, through poles, and it's all being transferred over state lines. But nobody says that there needs to be a regulation in place saying, hey, you know, maybe you don't control everything. You know what I mean? And then like how we're saying it, this is like a democracy. You know what I mean? And even though our voices aren't heard anymore,
Exactly.
I feel like a big thing is with like big companies and stuff, I'm going to pay you $1 million to run.
Yeah.
So technically, if you win, you're not representing those people anymore. You're representing the big company that paid you. You know what I mean?
That's so true.
And it's just and then like obviously the way that a big company advertises, you know what I mean, and shows, we've already seen, like how I said, I say one thing on my phone and it already shows me like 50 ads. Yeah. I don't know. It's like, it's a sad reality that we live in, and I feel like that the problem is we're accepting this reality.
Yeah, the acceptance is what is driving us further into the coffin, I think. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you there.
Like, they literally blindfolded us, and we're like, we're okay with being blind. You know what I mean? I mean, just lead us wherever the fuck you want, and we'll follow you. And nobody's thinking for themselves anymore.
Yeah. It's the lowered attention spans. It's the,
Attention span. There you go. You figured it out.
And I don't even think it was like an intentional culture that was created. I think it was just kind of reaped and benefited upon with the internet. And it's just like, you know, we're talking about a 4.0 because right now we're at 3.0 technically. And it's just what we want out of the internet is just like a healthy relationship.
Yes.
Between the consumer and the producer, basically.
Yes. I want to be able to go onto the internet, you know what I mean? And the instant that I search something up, hey, for one, like I feel like if you're searching something on the internet, you're putting it out there, you know what I mean?
Right.
Right? But like, I feel like me saying something on my own time, like right now, what gives you the right to listen and automatically want to sell me a book about coding or something because I said computer?
Yeah.
You get me?
I get you.
And then like, I think we should be able to go onto the internet, you know what I mean? Obviously, I believe that there should still be ads because people need to make commission. I feel like, how you said, there needs to be a healthy relationship between advertisements, between the companies, the producers, with the consumers. You know what I mean? And like, we should be able to view stuff unbiasedly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, of course, have an ad on the side, you know what I mean? If you put it on the side, I feel like your direct attention isn't towards that ad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're still given the option to click that ad.
That's true.
You get me?
Yeah.
Or like if you make an agreement on your blog to put an ad on there. But we should be able to see our first search histories shouldn't be an ad. When I search up scholarship, I shouldn't be thrown into a thing that makes me put in my credit card number automatically. You get me? Yeah, it's like we need, there needs to be a way that like your ads are placed here, your searches are here. And then as well as like, if you think about it, if I pay, say Google, like we'll say $23,000 or something, you know what I mean? Do you really think that my webpage is gonna be pushed to 250 millionth back, you know what I mean? Because they're like, we got you 250 million views, like sites that you could go to. And you never get past page 1.
That's true.
You never get past page 1. And like, I think that there should be like the equal distribution between them all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What else are we going to talk about?
I don't know, I think that covered it.
I think that covered it too. No,
Yeah, we gotta cut that out.
let me check what time it is. I'm late for class! Okay, we good.
Nice.
Okay, go ahead and check here.
Is that the official name of the podcast?
Yeah, Big Dig Podcast.
Big Dick Podcast.